AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, January 31st, 2021, and we are live. We're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP, on YouTube. So everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms and invite your friends to tune in also. Well, you know, we are on 6 days a week, and it's been a very busy week. We know that we lost Cicely Tyson last week. It was Friday, Friday before last, if I remember correctly. We lost Cicely Tyson, and well, let's see, let me rephrase that. It was Thursday. It was Thursday. All my days are running together. Okay, all my days are running together. But it was Thursday that we lost Cicely Tyson. She passed away at age 96. And I talked about it on our Thursday night show. We did 2 hours dedicated to Cicely Tyson. And we're going to talk a little bit about it tonight, because we know some people don't know we're on 6 days a week, and they know, you know, we've been on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for 4 years. Okay, actually 5 years. This is the 5th year. So we'll talk some about that in our second hour. January 27th was the National Day of Remembrance for the Holocaust. Okay. And you probably saw programming about it, programs on TV or cable, things like this. And there was a January 27th is also when Auschwitz, the Auschwitz concentration camps in Poland were liberated, January 27th, 1945. I wanted to cover this story earlier in the week, but it was just so busy. And then also we were dealing with Cicely Tyson. So I had to, a few times this week, I had to change the topics I was going to talk about. But in our first hour today, I want to deal with the Black people, the Afro-Germans and African people who were killed during the Holocaust and who survived the Holocaust, okay, in Nazi Germany. Because this topic is not talked about a lot. Okay, Black people died and survived during the Holocaust. I've posted articles about this in the past. On January 27th, news1.com had an article, The Black People Who Died and Survived During the Holocaust. They posted that. We shared this on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and it got over 1,000 likes. And I had a lot of people who commented who said they did not know that history. Okay, they did not know that there were African people, Afro-Germans, etc., who were killed during the Holocaust. Okay, what we hear is about the Jews who were killed, and that's important to hear that. I'm not trying to take away anything from anybody who suffered tragedies, but when we talk about the Holocaust, all right, the African people, the Afro-Germans, etc., who were killed are not talked about. And then there was sterilization that was taking place on Afro-German children as well. That's not discussed also. So we're going to deal some with that in our first hour. Face-to-faceafrica.com has a good article dealing with this. We shared that also. I shared that on my Instagram page, and a lot of people were surprised by that information. All right, so we'll talk about that in the first segment. Second segment, we'll deal with, we'll talk about Cicely Tyson. And I'm going to share with you one of her last interviews also that Cicely Tyson did. We know her memoir just came out a few days before she passed away, Just As I Am. And Cicely Tyson, one of the magnificent things about Cicely Tyson is that she turned down a lot of stereotypical roles because she did not want to play stereotypical roles. She was very careful about the type of images that she projected. Okay. So she turned down a lot of roles because they were stereotypical roles and did not project African Americans in the best light. There was a big article from the New York Times about Cicely Tyson. This is one of the things that was talked about in that article. Okay, and then we know that African American History Month is coming up, February 1st through February 28th, African American History Month. And there's an annual theme each year for African American History Month as well. Okay. And this year's theme deals with the African American family, Okay. So, each year we talk about what the annual theme is. The annual theme comes from the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, which was co-founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in 1915. Okay. September 9th, 1915, co-founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And in February of 1926, we know that that was the first Negro History Week. And Negro History Week was created by Dr. Carter G. Woodson to take place during the second week in February. In 1976, Negro History Week became Black History Month. And then some years ago, it became African American History Month. So there's an annual theme. There's been an annual theme going back to about 1928. I've gone and looked at all the annual themes of African American History Month going back almost to the beginning. This year's annual theme is dealing with the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. The Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. So we're going to, with the annual theme, they have a whole write-up on it. And you can create presentations all throughout the month and really throughout the year dealing with the theme for African American History Month. Okay, so we'll discuss what the official theme for 2021 is for African American History Month. All right, now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now, let's correct wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. I just sent one out. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. So those of you all who get our email newsletter, check your spam folders. Okay, check your email. All right, and check your spam folder. Because sometimes a lot of times it goes to people's spam folders, and I had to go through and scrub the email addresses. And it was like last year sometime I had to go through and scrub them and get rid of people who weren't opening the emails, because that costs us money, So I reduced we had like 25,000 emails, and I cut it. I dropped about 18,000 of them, something like that, because they just weren't opening the emails regularly, and then it was doubling how much I had to pay each month for constant contact. So all this stuff costs money. I'm serious. All right. So text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Only if you're going to read the emails. Okay. If you ain't going to read them, don't text. Don't do that. Okay. All right. Calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. So let's jump into this topic here before the break. We want to deal with the Black people the African people who died and survived during the Holocaust. This is during World War II. Let me start out with this information dealing with Auschwitz. A lot of people don't know really about Auschwitz and the Auschwitz concentration camp in January 27th. So history.com, I get the emails each morning from history.com. They come about 6 a.m., something like that. So it's one of the first things I look at in the morning. It's this day in history. So it's a number of different pieces of history that took place on this day in history. January 27th, Auschwitz is liberated in 1945. On January 27th, 1945, Soviet troops enter Auschwitz, Poland, freeing the survivors of the network of concentration camps and finally revealing to the world the depth of the horrors perpetrated therefore. Now, Auschwitz was really a group of camps designated 1, 2, 3 with Roman numerals. There were also 40 smaller satellite camps. It was at Auschwitz number 2, established in October 1941, that the SS created a complex, monstrously orchestrated, killing around 300 prison barracks, 4 bathhouses in which prisoners were gassed, corpse cellars, and cremating ovens. Now, thousands of prisoners were also used for medical experiments overseen and performed by the camp doctor, Joseph Mengele, Mengele, also known as the Angel of Death. Now, the Red Army have been advancing deeper into Poland since mid-January, having liberated Warsaw and Krakow. Soviet troops headed to Auschwitz. The Red Army, these were the Soviet troops, headed to Auschwitz to liberate the prisoners of the Auschwitz concentration camps. Now, having liberated Warsaw and Krakow, Krakow, Soviet troops headed to Auschwitz. In anticipation of the Soviet arrival, SS officers began a murder spree in the camps, shooting sick prisoners and blowing up crematoria in a desperate attempt to destroy the evidence of their crimes. These were crimes against humanity. Now, when the Red Army of the Soviet troops finally broke through, Soviet soldiers encountered 648 corpses and more than 7,000 starving camp survivors. There were also 6 storehouses filled with hundreds of thousands of women's dresses, men's suits, and shoes that the Germans did not have time to burn. So this deals with January 27th, 1945, when the prisoners of the Auschwitz concentration camps were liberated by the Soviet troops. This is during World War II. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the Black people who died and survived during the Holocaust. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation and Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com. Visit 4glossygirls.com. That's the number 4glossygirls.com, and follow them on Instagram at 4glossygirls.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Comedicwear.com is the go-to online source for comedic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Comedicwear.com is inspired by ComedicScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at comedicwear.com.
Black Bees products are a collection of natural, organic, personal care products with an appreciation of nature and bees. Our philosophy is without bees, we have nothing. We are honoring our Nile Valley ancestors who understood the importance of bees. Black Bees created a high-quality, natural, organic personal care line that would be affordable to everyone. We hope you try and enjoy our Black Bees products line and come back and visit us at blackbeesproducts.com.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, January 31st, 2021. And we are live. Hope everybody is doing well. Calling numbers 313-778-7600 is the calling number. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. In our first hour, we're discussing the Black people who died and survived during the Holocaust. We know Holocaust Remembrance Day. The January 27th marks the annual international observance of Holocaust Remembrance Day. And there were a few articles I saw during that period of time that dealt with the African people who were killed during the Holocaust. But that usually is not talked about when we have these discussions dealing with the Holocaust. Okay, so there was an article from news1.com, and the calling number is 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. So news1.com had an article dealing with this, and it in the article it says January 27th marks the annual international observance of Holocaust Remembrance Day. And when the millions of victims who perished during the Holocaust were overwhelmingly Jewish and at the forefront of Adolf Hitler's cycle-driven efforts to purify Europe and eventually rid the world of non-whites, it's seldom remembered that Black people or African people were also casualties of the genocide, genocidal Nazi terrorism decades ago, according to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. Their website is encyclopedia.ushmm.org, encyclopedia.ushmm.org. And they have information there dealing with dealing with people of African descent who were victims also during the Holocaust. I'm going to pull up something from them. Let me see. There was, okay, I had something bookmarked, and I'm not sure what happened to it. Okay, we'll come back to that. Yeah, I had something bookmarked. Okay, but anyway, let's continue here. We'll go to the phone lines in just a minute. All right, so the museum's website says there was no systematic program for the elimination of blacks as there was for Jews and other groups. But to be sure, people of African descent were certainly not safe during the Holocaust period that killed millions of Jews over the course of more than a decade, beginning in 1933 Germany. During the war, Black Americans and Europeans captured by the Nazis were interned in concentration camps. Bayoum Mohammed Hussein of Tanzania died at the Sachsenhausen camp near Berlin, in Lionel Romney, an American sailor with the U.S. Merchant Marine, was imprisoned in a concentration camp as well. And also there were many more. Black prisoners of war faced illegal incarceration and mistreatment at the hands of the Nazis, who did not uphold the regulations imposed by the Geneva Convention, which was an international agreement on dealing with the conduct of war and the treatment of the wounded and captured soldiers. Now, Lieutenant Darwin Nichols, who was an African-American pilot, was incarcerated in a Gestapo prison in Butzbach. Black soldiers of the American, French, and British armies were worked to death on construction projects or died as a result of mistreatment in concentration or prisoner of war camps. Others were never even incarcerated, but were instead immediately killed by the SS or the Gestapo. Now, you had one rather famous Afro-German worker. He was an actor, tap dancer, labor organizer. His name was Hilarius Gilges, Gilges. I think it's pronounced Gilges. He was only 24 years old when 12 SS officers kidnapped him and tortured him and killed him. He was stabbed 37 times and shot in the head. Okay, now, when we talk about the Holocaust, his name usually is not mentioned. I've heard the Holocaust talked about a lot. When we deal with the Afro-Germans, when we deal with African Americans or what have you, soldiers who were captured, things like this, this is not talked about. Now, even before World War II, the Nazis treated as native black citizens, children whose mothers were usually German and fathers were of African descent. They treated them with inhumanity. African German mulatto children, and sometimes referred to as Afro-German, African German mulatto children, were marginalized in German society, isolated socially and economically, and not allowed to attend universities. Now, racial discrimination prohibited them from seeking most jobs, including serving in the military. Now, with the rise of the Nazis, when they come to power in the 1930s, the Afro-Germans became a target of racial and political and population policy, a target of racial and population policy. By 1937, the Gestapo, which was the German secret state police, had secretly rounded up and forcibly sterilized many of them. Some were subjected to medical experiments, others mysteriously disappeared. Now, when you look at we talked about this earlier in the week. When you look at the state-sponsored sterilization programs that took place here in the U.S. from about the early 1930s into the 1970s, late 1970s, the eugenics programs. There were about 31 state-sponsored eugenics programs that existed here in the U.S. Okay, well, those sterilization programs became a model for the sterilization programs that the Germans were doing, and the Jim Crow segregation that was taking place here in the U.S. The Nazis were patterning like the Nuremberg race laws based upon the Jim Crow laws that were taking place here in the U.S. also. All right. There's an article from history.com, September 15th, 1935, Nuremberg race laws imposed, and this is from history.com. History.com also has another article. I've seen it before, and I printed out somewhere. I have thousands of articles printed. We'll go to the phone lines in just a minute, so everybody stand by. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. There was an article that they had that dealt with how I want to see if I can find this here. Oh, yeah, this one right here. This will knock people out. This is from history.com, the official website of the History Channel, how the Nazis were inspired by Jim Crow. This is from May 20th, 2019, originally published August 16th, 2017. Now, history.com is the official website of the History Channel. Okay, so I'm not making this up. Okay, and this is not trying to take away from anybody else's horrors that were inflicted upon them. All, different people, different groups of people have experienced different horrors, Holocaust, etc., etc. All right. But if we look at this, because a lot of people don't know about the state-sponsored sterilization programs, and there was one of the most famous ones in the U.S. People found out about it recently, is in North Carolina. Okay. And there was an article from, I think it was ABC, I think it was ABC or NBC. This dealt with the eugenics programs in North Carolina. And I'm going to see if I can pull that up also. Okay, because there was somewhere around 1,800 survivors of the state-sponsored eugenics program in North Carolina who were able to get reparations. They were able to get some type of compensation. And there was an article from 2012 from abcnews.go.com that deals with the state-sponsored eugenics program. Now, this one was before the compensation was paid out. Okay. This one is called North Carolina Senate Denies Funds for Sterilization Victims. North Carolina Senate denies funds for sterilization victims. This is from 2012, June 22nd, 2012, abcnews.go.com, which is the official website of ABC News. let's see, let's turn on the screen share. So hopefully you can see some of this here. Now, maybe I should have started the show with my disclaimer. I may say some things that are outside the circumference of your own awareness. Just because you never heard them before, disagree with them, or don't like them, does not mean that they are not true. Just means you have to do some research to understand what I'm talking about. All right. Now, they ended up paying some type of compensation. I forgot exactly how much it was, but I just want you, this just lays a foundation. Okay. So you understand the state-sponsored eugenics programs. Then there was also an article from NBC News. There was one from NBC News, and let's see, let me try to pull this one up because I have all these bookmarked. They're on the other computer. There was one from NBC News that dealt with Brian Williams interviewed Elaine Riddick. Okay. Brian Williams, some years ago, 2012, 2013, interviewed Elaine Riddick. And Elaine Riddick is also featured in a documentary called Ma for 21, which came out in 2010. And it's from director Mark Crutcher. Life Dynamics put it out. Life Dynamics is a pro-life. It's like a right-wing pro-life organization. But a lot of the information they had in the documentary was good. I talked to Mark Crutcher a couple of times because I was trying to set up an interview with him back in 2010. If we look at this one here, this is from, I just want to lay this historical foundation because I know people are watching and listening who have different levels of understanding of history, and some people don't know this exists, okay, or existed. In Mississippi, there was a state-sponsored sterilization program, and Fannie Lou Hamer was a victim of that one. When you study Fannie Lou Hamer, you find out she was sterilized in the state-sponsored Mississippi sterilization program. But very quickly here, if we look at this article here from July 25th, 2013, from NBC News, NBCnews.com, victims of forced sterilization to receive $10 million from North Carolina. Victims of forced sterilization to receive $10 million from North Carolina. Okay, so if we look briefly here at this article, a landmark move by the state of North Carolina Wednesday, lawmakers passed a budget that includes $10 million to compensate the state's victims of forced sterilization. Quote, there were challenges. We had to better educate our members. And then, of course, we had to work through the fiscal challenges. But at the end of the day, what we've done is something truly historic, said House Speaker Tom Tillis, a Republican who spoke with NBC News. Now, from 1929 to 1974, I want people to understand this, because this then ties into the Nuremberg laws and ties into Nazi Germany. And a lot of times when we talk about the U.S. and the Allied powers fighting against the Nazis and fighting against the Germans, fighting against the Axis powers, right, in World War II, they don't tell you that the oppression that you were inflicting upon African Americans in the U.S., that served as a model for what the Nazis did in Germany to the Jews and Afro-Germans, etc. So I'm not saying what the Nazis did was right. It was blatantly wrong. Of course it was wrong. But when the U.S. starts pointing fingers, you know, your hands are dirty too. When the U.S. This, put it back on me. When the U.S. starts pointing fingers, Now your hands are dirty too. So we have to, we have to understand this. And then the irony is that you had African Americans who went to fight in World War II. They're in Germany, they're in France, they landed in Normandy, D-Day, June 6th, 1945, and they're fighting for freedom abroad that they don't have at home, and they launched this Double V campaign, which was a African American newspaper, but then the soldiers adopt this, the Double V campaign, victory abroad, okay, fighting against the Nazis and fascism, victory abroad, but also victory at home, fighting against Jim Crow segregation and racism. So then these African American men and women, because there was a regiment of African American women who were sorting mail and making sure mail got to African American soldiers. They're going to come back home, people like Medgar Evers, and get involved in the civil rights movement. Because they come back home and they say, we want all of our rights now. We want first class citizenship now. We went and shed blood for this country. We fought for this country. Some of us didn't come back. Some of us died. We're fighting for freedom abroad. We want all of our rights now. And in 1943, there was a huge race riot in Detroit up and down Woodward Avenue during World War II. Okay. All right. So let's continue because I want to make this history lesson short because I'll just go, I'll forget all about time and I'll just go. Let's see. What do we want? Okay, so let's go back to this article here, and then I want to show you this. Then we'll go to the phone line. So stand by. Okay, NBC News: Victims of Sterilization Program. Now, so I'm going to tie this eugenics program into the Nuremberg laws, and that ties into Nazi Germany, which then ties into January 27th, National Day of Remembrance for the Holocaust, which then ties into our main topic for this first hour of the show, Black people who survived the Holocaust, okay, and died during the Holocaust. So from 1929 to 1974, North Carolina forcibly sterilized thousands of men, women, and children, usually without their consent. Now, they were both African American and white. Okay, they weren't all African American. Over time, more and more African Americans are going to be sterilized. It's going to shift over time to a greater percentage of African Americans. Now, it was part of a larger eugenics movement that believed poverty, promiscuity, and alcoholism were inherited traits. Poverty, promiscuity, and alcoholism. They believed that these were inherited traits and that without them, the gene pool could be improved. Now, Elaine Riddick, she was an African-American woman. We're Facebook friends, actually. I've talked to Elaine Riddick. Elaine Riddick was raped and impregnated at the age of 13 years old after giving birth to her baby boy, Tony. She was sterilized against her will. Afterwards, she lived for years in shame, but had something to prove. Elaine Riddick, in November 2011, was interviewed by Brian Williams on NBC for a TV show called NBC News Rock Center. NBC News Rock Center. I saw it live when it aired. Okay, I remember that. I saw it live when it aired, and they showed Elaine Riddick. I said, wait a second, she's in the documentary Ma'afa 21. Quote, Elaine Riddick said, people need to know that injustice was done towards them, and they need to be compensated for that. All right. Now, Elaine Riddick has been a formidable advocate for her fellow victims, pressing North Carolina to make amends, but multiple attempts at compensation have not come to fruition. So finally, they did get compensation, as I said. Okay, let me fast forward to this. Okay, so in 2002, North Carolina became one of the first states to publicly apologize for practicing eugenics. Eugenics means good genes. And this whole concept of eugenics is created after slavery. It's by 1883 by a man named Sir Francis Galton. Sir Francis Galton. Sir Francis Galton was a cousin of Charles Darwin, if I remember correctly. It's Charles Darwin. Yeah. So Francis Galton was a cousin of Charles Darwin, and it's going to be Sir Francis Galton who creates this concept of eugenics in 1883. Also, AtlantaBlackStar.com has information dealing with, if you go to AtlantaBlackStar.com, they have articles dealing with eugenics and things like this. Sir Francis Galton, Atlanta Black Star. Let me see what they have here. Pull this up. I have some things bookmarked on the other laptop dealing with that. Okay, let's do this here. Let's go to the phone lines quickly. Let's go to John on line 1. John, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from.
Well, I'm calling from the Detroit, Michigan. I'm calling from the east side.
Okay, east side of Detroit.
Listen, you got to do 2 hours.
You said, hold on. You said I have to do 2 hours. You said I have to do 2 hours a day. Yeah, we can't. We can't do that, John. Yeah, no, we can't. Go ahead, John. Don't call in here cussing at me like that, John.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, let me see. I'll tell you. United States. It started in West Virginia. Germany, one of the first ones started to do this kind of stuff you're talking about, and sterilizing the women. It started in North Carolina, and West Virginia, and now all this. Actually, male women, it was a lot of white women.
Right.
Too,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, it was early on. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Early on, it wasn't targeted towards African Americans. It was white women and African American women, but it was also, white. It was boys. It was boys also being sterilized as well. In some cases.
That's right. Have you heard of Tito? This is one of the first ones started that. Tito started the first in 1934. And got it from Tito started, but you see what Tito was doing to his citizens, and he had a lot of African Americans, African from Africa, fighting on the side of Tito. And he went over there and got a lot of them and fighting on the side. That's how he won that war. And nobody never talked about Tito, the one first one started that sterilizing and carrying on, and that eugenics, you said. Tito the first one started.
Who are you talking about, John? John, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
Tito, Tito, he was a dictator over there. So I think he was Slavic somewhere like that.
Okay.
And he was against Hitler. He was against Hitler first, and Hitler seeing what Tito was doing to his people, the gain control, and Hitler started it and so forth. So here's a whole lot of history about this, and Germany was having babies by black women there, and Hitler knew about it, and a lot of folks didn't want to talk about it because he was talking about the natural race. That's how he was brainwashing them Germans and so forth. Man, I see the whole study about it, man. So whenever you get a chance, I'll be glad to call you back, man. I don't want to hold you down too much.
All right, John. Thanks for calling.
I appreciate the knowledge, man. I appreciate the knowledge you're giving out. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem. Thanks for calling. All right. Thanks for calling, John. You call back tomorrow night. John called in here cussing at me, saying I should be on for 2 hours a day. Come on, man. I'm barely making it now. We're on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight. Okay, I gotta see if I can get my time slot earlier or something like that, man. I used to do 10 p.m. to midnights on the Empowerment Radio Network back in 2016, and I thought I'd never do nights again, but here I am back again. So, but anyway. All right. 313-778-7600 is the calling number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600 is the calling number. If you have a question or comment, we're coming up on a break here in a few minutes. So let me fast forward through this here. There's an article from AtlantaBlackStar.com that I was looking for from February 25th, 2014 called 10 Disturbing Facts African Americans Should Know About Eugenics. 10 Disturbing Facts African Americans Should Know About Eugenics from AtlantaBlackStar.com. And it talks about how Sir Francis Galton was an Englishman who came from a family that became very wealthy from slave labor. And he is the father of eugenics and coined the term eugenics in 1883. So check out that article. We posted the link here. That is from AtlantaBlackStar.com. And we'll show you this article quickly here. Then I want to talk briefly about the Nuremberg laws. Okay, so check this out from AtlantaBlackStar.com. All right. Also, I forgot to say at the beginning of the show. Okay, so my online course is starting up Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This is a 8-week. We meet on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. 16-hour online course. We deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade happening. Okay. And we deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. We deal with ancient Egypt and what the Moors took into Europe, and they're taking the teachings from ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, into Europe and bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages. And we deal with how this is going to lead to the transatlantic slave trade happening. Email me. So we posted the link here. You can register here, and I'm creating a whole new course. If you register for this one that I just posted, that's the old one, but I'll enroll you in a new one. And you can also email me at AHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com for more information. The course is regularly $130. It's on sale $80. You can watch from around the world. We do a PowerPoint presentation, video clips, book references. You can ask questions in class. We have a live chat where you can post your question. We don't, people don't have to see you. You can post your question. And then the classes are archived, so you can go back and watch them over and over again and watch them around the world. All right, so you'll hear more about that. Okay, so let's go back to this article here from NBC News. So you have $10 million appropriated for eugenics victims, was to be distributed equally among them starting in 2015. Check out the rest of this article here. But I just wanted to lay historical context because a lot of people don't know this history. And then the eugenics program is then related to the sterilizations that the Nazis were doing in Nazi Germany. Also, they were also sterilizing Afro-Germans. All right. So check out this article from NBCnews.com, victims of forced sterilization to receive $10 million from North Carolina. Now, one of the things when you read this article, one of the things that's important for them to understand, this is what I've been saying about reparations or restitution for African Americans, is it said in here there were challenges. We had to better educate our members. We had to better educate our members. This is what State House Speaker Tom Tillis said, Republican. You've heard me say before, America needs a massive history lesson. Before African Americans get restitution or reparations, if you want to call it reparations, and there's some really good arguments why we need to take the term reparations off of the restitution and call it something else. Because when you start talking about reparations and automatically slavery, it automatically brings opposition because people say, oh, well, my ancestors didn't own slaves. Slavery ended 156 years ago. Why we got to talk about that? So if you go back and look at the shows we did this week and we talked about the study from Citigroup Bank from September 2020 that showed how the U.S. had lost $16 trillion in 20 years because of racism. This article from CBSNews.com. It's a study from Citibank that showed from how between the year 2000 and the year 2020, the U.S. had lost $16 trillion because of racism, discrimination against African Americans, but also other people, but especially African Americans. If we look at this here, racism has cost the U.S. $16 trillion. Citigroup fines. And I've done a whole presentation dealing with this. This is from September 23rd, 2020. And one of the things they talk about is America could have been $16 trillion richer if not for inequities in education, housing, wages, and business investment between Black Americans, African Americans, and white Americans over the past 20 years, new research concludes. Then they go through and break this down, and they show that the study released by Citigroup is the latest in a body of research that attempts to quantify the economic impact of systemic racism, not anecdotes, but they go through and methodically quantify the economic impact of systemic racism. They're not talking about 156 years ago. They're not talking about 246 years of slavery. They're talking about right now and how this is tied to history. Citigroup arrived at its $16 trillion figure after estimating that Black workers have lost $113 billion in potential wages over the past 2 decades, not 400 years. Notice how this study breaks this down and it relates it to right now. They're not talking about 400 years ago. They're talking about over the last 20 years, from 2000 to 2020, African American workers have lost $113 billion in potential wages over the past 2 decades because they could not get a college degree. The housing market lost $218 billion in sales because African American applicants could not get home loans. This ties into discrimination and redlining, things like this. Okay. Then about $13 trillion in business revenue never flowed into the economy because African American entrepreneurs could not access bank loans. Now, then it goes and talks about how, what's more, the U.S. could have $5 trillion in gross domestic product over the next 5 years if those gaps and others were closed today, the study indicated. Now, this does have tie into the legacy of slavery and a history of laws and things like this, redlining, etc. But they're showing you right now how this is impacting us, and it's showing you how racism negatively impacts everybody, how everybody is harmed by this. We'll deal with this on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Do you have an idea or business that requires app development or thinking of moving your IT resources to the cloud? We have post-paid and profit-sharing plans for unique ideas or profitable businesses. Who can take advantage of this unique program? Entrepreneurs with unique ideas, startups, small to medium businesses. Contact us, 267-209-0352.
Visit nomadicsystems.net, nomadicsystems.net today. Intuitive Design Clothing is an online accessory store that sells one-of-a-kind signature statement pieces for men and women. They also specialize in fashion consultations, closet organization, and decorating small spaces. Are you looking for a statement piece for a special affair, or would you like to add some select pieces to your ensemble of accessories? If you're looking for something different, definitely contact Kathy Norman, owner and CEO of Intuitive Design Clothing. Visit their website, intuitivedesignClothing.com. That's intuitivedesignClothing.com, and you can email her at info@intuitivedesignClothing.com. Intuitive Design Clothing is where every entrance is a grand entrance.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Comedicwear.com is the go-to online source for comedic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Comedicwear.com is inspired by ComedicScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at comedicwear.com.
Soul Natural Beauty Products offers organic, plant-based skin and hair care products that will rejuvenate skin and naturally grow and thicken hair. Their whipped shea butter can heal or restore damaged skin cells to prevent hyperpigmentation and skin breakouts. All products are made with organic plant-based ingredients. Their maximum hair growth oil is fortified with organic herbal extracts and undeniably proves that Mother Nature knows best. It thickens, lengthens, softens, and conditions all types of hair. They even guarantee hair improvement within 90 days or a full refund. Their all-natural 24-hour deodorant leaves the body smelling fresh without sweating for up to 24 hours. It does not stain fabric, goes on smoothly, and has a refreshing lavender and frankincense aroma. It can be used by men, women, and even children. Place your order today at soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com. That's soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com, and follow them on Facebook at Soul Natural Beauty Products.
All right, stand by, everybody. We're on commercial break. Stand by. So, okay, we'll continue this on the other side of the break. African-American business owners, post name your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Also, register for my online class. It starts up Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's for 8 weeks. We do 8 consecutive Wednesdays, and you don't have to be live in the class. You don't have to be present. All the sessions, we do them live, but all the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch them over and over again. You can watch from around the world. So it's on sale $80, regularly $130. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Okay, stand by. We're on commercial break. We'll come back. So what I want to do, when they talked about the compensation for the victims of the North Carolina sterilization program, State Representative Tom Tillis talked about how the members had to be educated. They had to be educated on what took place. America has to be educated. Most Americans are ignorant of history. 2/3 of Americans can't name the 3 branches of government. There was a study, we talked about this study, how most Americans don't know what's in the U.S. Constitution. And Alabama.com has an article that deals with how most Americans can't name the 3 branches of government. 2/3 of Americans can't name the 3 branches of government. Let's look at this here from Alabama.com. We're on commercial break, but I'm going. I ain't stopping. Okay. Let's see here. Let's look at this here. And see, what we have to understand is that people who are in Congress, they represent these ignorant ass people. This is what people don't seem to understand. Most African Americans don't understand the history of slavery. You think white people understand the history of slavery? No, they don't. A lot of them don't even understand their own history. So let's look at this here. And then, okay, let's look at this here. Now, this is from Alabama.com. AL.com. Okay. This is from AL.com.
Hills, Detroit, 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday. It's still Sunday. It's Sunday, January 31st, 2021. We're in our second hour. We're going to try to squeeze all this in, but some of this we may have to say to Monday. Who knows? We're talking about in our first hour, we were dealing with January 27th was the National Day of Remembrance of the Holocaust. Okay. So the Jewish Holocaust and Nazi Germany. Holocaust is the annual observation of Holocaust Remembrance Day. But oftentimes when that conversation takes place, and oftentimes when January 27th happens, the Afro-Germans and the African people, the black people who were killed in the Holocaust, killed by the Nazis, are not talked about. So we were dealing with some of that history in our first hour. We're going to continue with that. Then we'll talk a little bit about Cicely Tyson. I did an entire show, our Thursday show, Thursday this past week, dealing with the passing of Cicely Tyson and her legacy. Okay, that was Thursday the 28th. We dealt with Cicely Tyson, passed away 96 years old. Okay, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Then in the last segment of the show, we'll talk about the 2021 annual theme for African American History Month. The 2021 annual theme for African American History Month, which is the Black family representation, identity, and diversity. And the annual theme comes from ASALH, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, which is the organization that they are the governing body of African American History Month. And that is the organization that Dr. Carter G. Woodson co-founded September 9th, 1915. Okay, so let's continue here. Right, so during the break, I was talking to the people in TV land during the break, right? Yeah, with that last break, I just kept talking. We just kept going. Okay. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, no, I ain't stopped. Okay. So I was referencing the article from NBC News and how State Representative Tom Tillis, when they were talking about getting compensation for the victims of the North Carolina state-sponsored eugenics program, how he said they had to educate their members in the state legislature. They had to be educated on what happened, that history. The same thing has to take place when it comes to getting restitution or reparations for the legacy of slavery and understanding the racism that's directed towards African Americans. The same thing, because most Americans are woefully ignorant of history. And a lot of those people are in Congress right now. You see, they don't understand the Constitution. 140 Republicans voted to not certify election results, okay, that were certified by the Electoral College on December 14th. These are people that don't understand the Constitution. Now, this is why this study right here from the Southern Poverty Law Center is so important. You've heard me talk about it before. I've interviewed Dr. Hassan Kwame Jeffries, who was the chair of the advisory board that put this together. He's an associate professor of history at Ohio State University. This is called Teaching Hard History, American Slavery. Teaching Hard History, American Slavery. This is something I teach from, and also when I teach my online course, this is a reference tool as well. But this study is about a 52-page study. It thoroughly documents how the history of slavery is being incorrectly taught in schools all across the country. And it gives numerous recommendations on how to more correctly teach that history. So, for instance, if we look at page 9 here on the executive summary, it talks about how only 8% of high school seniors surveyed could identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War. Now, these are 12th graders. They don't know this history. Their parents probably don't know it either. Only 8%, only 8% of high school seniors surveyed could identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War. Two-thirds of high school seniors surveyed, okay, or actually 68% did not know that it took a constitutional amendment to formally end slavery, the 13th Amendment. Okay, and also actually this past week was the anniversary of the 13th Amendment being passed, of 13th Amendment of 1865. So they go through and they show how very little is known about the history of slavery. Okay, now this is what I'm trying to explain to people. Chattel slavery ended 156 years ago. Most people don't understand the history. And you trying to get reparations for trillions of dollars for something most people don't understand? No, that is a reason why it's not working. Because the process is screwed up. We don't really understand this whole thing, how to get what it is we want. It's a legislative process, and most of the people in the U.S. House of Representatives and U.S. Senate don't even think a debt is owed. So, as Tom Tillis said, there had to be educated. The members had to be educated on what took place with the sterilization program. There were challenges. We had to better educate our members. And then, of course, we had to work through the fiscal challenges. But at the end of the day, what we've done is something truly historic. You're talking about $10 million being paid out from the state of North Carolina. And what they're talking about, the state-sponsored eugenics program, was in North Carolina. And they had to educate the members of the state legislature about what happened in North Carolina. When you have Confederate monuments and schools named after Confederate heroes who were traitors to the Union still up, and we think people understand history of slavery. No, they don't. Half of our people still think Willie Lynch historically existed. Willie Lynch never historically existed. So once again, as I've said numerous times before, America has to have a massive history lesson, because Americans, regardless of race, have purposely been miseducated. Americans have purposely been miseducated. Let's look at this right here. Alabama.com, AL.com. 1 in 5 Americans can't name a single branch of government. And we're talking about largely white people. 1 in 5 Americans can't name a single branch of government. Okay? Then it goes through and breaks down how 2/3 of Americans can't name the 3 branches of government. This is basic 5th grade civics class, basic social studies class. A recent survey found America may need to go back to civics class. Now, people say civics has been taken out of school, but they still have social studies. They still have like American government, 12th grade, 11th grade, things like this, right? A recent survey found America may need to go back to civics class. Annenberg Public Policy Center's Civics Knowledge Survey found only 2 in 5 American adults, or 39%, could correctly name the 3 branches of government. Only 2 in 5. So almost 2/3 of American adults could not name the 3 branches of government. Okay? That's basic. I'm a bill on Capitol Hill, Schoolhouse Rock, Saturday morning cartoons. I'm just a bill. I'm only a bill. Sitting here on Capitol Hill. You know, it's on YouTube. Go watch it. I'm a bill on Capitol Hill. 2/3. Let's go back to this one here. Which one did I have? Okay. So 2 in 5 Americans, or 39%, could correctly name the 3 branches of government, which is an executive, legislative, and judicial. We did a whole segment, I think it was earlier this week, dealing with how most Americans don't know what's in the U.S. Constitution, which is true. Most of them don't. And that was a story from January 19th, 2021 from CBS This Morning, where they did a survey of people on the street, asked them about certain things in the Constitution, how many members in the House of Representatives, who's the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, what are the 3 branches of government, all this. People don't know. That figure of 39% was the highest in 5 years, up from 32% the last year. 1 in 5 adults cannot name a single branch of government, the study showed. So America needs a massive history lesson. All right, now, so read this from AL.com. And research Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama. Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama, freshman senator. He couldn't name the 3 branches of government. He's in his 60s. Former college football coach. He couldn't name the 3 branches of government. And he's voting on bills that impact 330 million people. And if reparations goes to the U.S. Senate, which I doubt if it does, it's less support in the U.S. Senate than it is for the House of Representatives. There's only 3 black people in the Senate. Well, 2.5. 2.5. I'm sorry. 2.5. Because half the time, Tim Scott, Black Tea Party Republican from South Carolina, doesn't act like he's black. 1. 2, he already said he's voting against reparations in the Senate. If the black Republican won't vote for reparations, how the hell are you going to get some white ones to vote for it? We don't understand none of this. Come on. We have to understand the process. All right. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay. Stand by. We'll go back to the phone lines just a second here. All right. Now, let's go back to the Nuremberg laws. This is an important article here from history.com. History.com. This is how the Nazis were inspired by Jim Crow. So in 1935, Nazi Germany passed 2 radically discriminatory pieces of legislation: the Reich Citizenship Law and the Law for the Protection of German Blood and German Honor. Together, these were known as the Nuremberg Laws, and they laid the legal groundwork for the persecution of Jewish people during the Holocaust and World War II. Okay. Now, keep in mind, they said 1935. The sterilization program in North Carolina started in 1929. Same year as the stock market crash. Stock market crash is October 1929. So the sterilization program in North Carolina that they had to pay restitution for, that started in 1929. The Nuremberg laws that are patterned after Jim Crow segregation in the U.S. starts in 1935. Now, when the Nazis set out to legally disenfranchise and discriminate against Jewish citizens, they weren't just coming up with the ideas out of thin air. They closely studied the laws of another country, according to James Q. Whitman, author of Hitler's American Model. That country was the United States. Quote, America in the early 20th century was the leading racist jurisdiction in the world, says James Q. Whitman, who is a professor at Yale Law School. Quote, Nazi lawyers, as a result, were interested in, looked very closely at, and were ultimately influenced by American race law. Imagine that. Now, it is true the U.S. is fighting against the Nazis. Okay, that is true. But the Nazis were learning from the U.S. also. All right, let's look at this here. Let's flip this over. Let's throw this up some. Okay, some images I don't want to show on social media because I don't want this to get flagged. And it's history.com, but still, this is some images of the Holocaust I don't want to show. So in particular, Nazis admired the Jim Crow era laws that discriminated against African Americans and segregated them from white Americans. And they debated whether to introduce similar segregation in Germany. Yet they ultimately decided that it wouldn't go far enough. They decided that segregation didn't go far enough. One of the most striking Nazi views that Jim Crow was a suitable racist program in the United States because American blacks were already oppressed and poor. Okay, he said, but then in Germany, by contrast, where the Jews and the Nazis imagined it, were rich and powerful, it was necessary to take some severe measures. Okay, now then this is according to the Nazi perception. Okay, because of this, Nazis were more interested in how the U.S. had designated Native Americans, Filipinos, and other groups as non-citizens, even though they lived in the U.S. or its territories. These models influenced the citizenship portion of the Nuremberg laws and stripped Jewish Germans of their citizenship and classified them as nationals. Okay, let me show you this again. Because of this, Nazis were more interested in how the U.S. had designated Native Americans, Filipinos, and other groups as non-citizens, even though they lived in the U.S. or its territories. These models influenced the citizenship portion of the Nuremberg laws, which stripped Jewish Germans of their citizenship and classified them as nationals. All right. So let's go quickly to the phone lines here. Let's go to Chuck, line 1, Chuck, or line 2. Chuck, thanks for holding. Tell us where you're calling from.
Thank you, Mr. Hotep. Calling from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, go ahead.
Dr. Brother Hotep. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Hey, what do you think it would take to receive the proper refunds, or what is it called? Retro.
Restitution?
Payments.
Okay, it's going to take a few things.
Yeah. What do you think? What evidence do you think we need, or anybody need, that was under that type of pressure?
Okay.
To receive the
restitution. Right. Okay. So
retroactive.
Right, and we're coming up on a break. So cash payments can be part of an overall restitution package, but it should be more than cash payments. One, you got to have enough people in the House of Representatives and U.S. Senate that think a debt is owed to actually vote for it. Right now, that doesn't exist. It takes 218 votes to get a bill.
That takes evidence, right?
Well, hold on just a second. It takes 218 votes to get a bill passed in the House of Representatives. Right now, you can't even get H.R. 40 passed, and that's a bill to study reparations. You don't have enough people.
What is H.R. 40?
House Resolution 40, H.R. 40, sponsored by Sheila Jackson Lee, originally sponsored by Representative James Conyers going back to 1989, H.R. 40. Okay, so and that's to study that's to study reparations and to study the feasibility of reparations and study some history and then make recommendations for reparations. That bill can't even get passed in the House of Representatives. it's even a more uphill battle in the U.S. Senate. All right, because you don't have enough. We have to understand we got to vote people into office who actually support reparations and vote people out of office who don't support it. One, two, America needs a massive history lesson, and we're coming up on a break. Stand by. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Stand by, everybody. We're on commercial break. Okay. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. All right, we're on. And then also, if you'd like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, then also through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN Show, paypal.me /the AHN Show. Stand by, we'll be back. One commercial break. Okay. We've got Chantel, Matthew. The swastika was also Eastern. The swastika is an ancient African symbol called a grammadan. It's an ancient Kemetic symbol, ancient Egyptian symbol called a grammadan. And the swastika was corrupted by the Nazis and Hitler. It was originally, the grammadan was a spiritual symbol, and it consisted of 4 right angles. A right angle is 90 degrees. 4 right angles deals with 360 degrees. So it was dealing with like 360 degrees of knowledge. And it was a spiritual symbol, and it became corrupted with the Nazis.
With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business. Know your numbers and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business. Encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. Blackbusinesstee.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com. For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the changemakers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid Al Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com. Soul Natural Beauty Products offers organic, plant-based skin and hair care products that will rejuvenate skin and naturally grow and thicken hair. Their whipped shea butter can heal or restore damaged skin cells to prevent hyperpigmentation and skin breakouts. All products are made with organic plant-based ingredients. Their maximum hair growth oil is fortified with organic herbal extracts and undeniably proves that Mother Nature knows best. It thickens, lengthens, softens, and conditions all types of hair. They even guarantee hair improvement within 90 days or a full refund. Their all-natural 24-hour deodorant leaves the body smelling fresh without sweating for up to 24 hours. It does not stain fabric, goes on smoothly, and has a refreshing lavender and frankincense aroma. It can be used by men, women, and even children. Place your order today at soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com. That's soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com, and follow them on Facebook at Soul Natural Beauty Products.
Do you have an idea or business that requires app development or thinking of moving your IT resources to the cloud? We have post-paid and profit-sharing plans for unique ideas or profitable businesses. Who can take advantage of this unique program? Entrepreneurs with unique ideas, startups, small to medium businesses. Contact us 267-209-0352.
Visit nomadicsystems.net, nomadicsystems.net today.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, January 31st, 2021. Right before the break, we were talking about Black people who died and survived the Holocaust. We were talking about the Nuremberg laws and how the Jim Crow laws in Nazi Germany the Jim Crow laws in the U.S. served as a model for the Nuremberg laws in Nazi Germany. Somebody asked during the break about the Nazi swastika. They said they heard it was also an Eastern symbol before the Nazis and Hitler propagandized it. It's what we know as the swastika comes from the Gramadan. The Gramadan is an ancient African symbol, ancient Kemetic symbol coming out of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. And it was a spiritual symbol. And it had 4 right angles. A right angle is 90 degrees, 9 times 4 is 360. It was a symbol dealing with 360 degrees of knowledge. It was a spiritual symbol. It became corrupted with the Nazis and the swastika. Swastika became corrupted. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen and Black Man of the Nile and his family, he shows you a number of different symbols from ancient Kemet. The Gramadan is one of them. I have a symbol encyclopedia around here somewhere. All these stacks of books. I have a symbol encyclopedia that has about 2,000 symbols in it, and it defines 2,000 symbols. The Gramadan is one of them, and I can't get to it now. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 stacks of books next to me. Oh, hold on, it's right here. This one right here, Signs and Symbols, an illustrated guide to their origins and meaning. Signs and Symbols, an illustrated guide to their origins and meaning. So this is a symbols encyclopedia. It's all in full color. I got this, was it Barnes & Noble or something? It's about $10. This is by Covent Garden Books. Covent Garden Books. On the front of it, you see the Medu Neter, you see the Caduceus, which is an ancient African symbol. That's a symbol of medicine, but that comes out of ancient Kemet also. Page, I think it's around page 95 of Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. Tony Browder talks about the Caduceus. You see the Eye of Heru, okay? All these symbols coming out of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, all of this. This is the symbol right here is from the Medu Neter as well. And then on the back, like right here. So this this book deals with the origins and meanings of over 2,000 signs and symbols. You see an Ankh right there in the middle, the ancient key of eternal life, the ancient African symbol of eternal life, the Ankh, Ankh. Okay, so we are the Alpha and the Omega, to make it simple. And as Professor Kabahayawapa Kamene says, the Greek alphabet is derived from the Medu Neter. Okay, all right. So let's see. So right before the break, we had Chuck on the line. Chuck was asking a question. We're dealing with restitution, and I was breaking this down. So America needs a massive history lesson. You got to vote people into office who actually support reparations. It's not enough of them now in the House or the Senate to get a reparations bill passed. This is what people don't understand. People keep looking to the president. Based upon Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution, Congress controls the purse strings. Restitution or reparations, whatever you want to call it, has to pass both the House and the Senate before it goes to the president's desk to be signed into office. Then also America has to have a massive history lesson, because most Americans don't understand the history of slavery and how it still impacts us today. This is why that study from Citigroup that dealt with how the U.S. economy has lost 16 trillion in the past 20 years. Why that's so important, because that's dealing with the impact today. And then that ties into policies. And what you do is you go back in time and trace those policies then back as a legacy of slavery, redlining, segregation, Jim Crow segregation, things like this. Just 1 second, Chuck. Things like this. But you deal with present day conditions, the policies that created these present day conditions, and then go back in history and deal with the laws and policies put in place that are a legacy of slavery. Go ahead, Chuck, and then we got to get these other calls. Go ahead, Chuck.
Yes, sir. Yeah, what I was going to say is, I mean, you particularly, you know, by you being a scholar in historic, you know, the language. And we need somebody like you to produce this evidence, because it's you got books and you got the evidence right there. All we need is to get it legislated and put on a ballot, you know, because like you say, it's
what's a bill?
It's a help.
Yeah, it's a bill. It's a bill, not a ballot. But one of the things that needs to happen is a congressional study. The reason why that congressional study is so important, HR 40 is important. You need a congressional study. The reason why is because Congress has to vote on it. So you want a team of scholars and historians.
Well, that's why we need somebody like you.
Right.
To be a part of.
Okay. All right, Chuck. Well, if I get the call, I'll tell them Chuck told me to do it. All right. All right, Chuck. Keep listening, man. Keep listening.
Yes, sir.
All right. Keep listening.
Pleasure.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for calling. Okay. So the reason why the congressional study is so important is because Congress has to vote on reparations, and many of the members are ignorant of history. Even some of the ones who are well-meaning. Just because they don't know does not mean that they're not well-meaning. You have some that are not, like Louis Gohmert of Texas, Matt Gaetz of Florida, Jim Jordan of Ohio. You have others who may not just be aware of all this history, but it doesn't mean that they are don't mean well. Okay. But because Congress has to vote on it, you want a congressional study done, and then the findings presented to Congress in a televised hearing and presented to the world presented to America at the same time, because Americans have to be educated on this. Because what happens is, if that bill comes up for a vote, as ignorant as Americans are right now, they'll be calling their members of Congress, telling them don't vote no on reparations, just like they told them vote no on impeaching Trump. It's the same thing coming out of ignorance. Okay, let's go, because we don't have much time left. We don't understand how all these pieces are connected. All right, now, very quickly. Okay, so check out the article also dealing with the Nuremberg laws and the connection between the Nuremberg laws and segregation. Okay. Nuremberg race laws. Let me see, which one was that? That was, how the Nazis were inspired by Jim Crow. How the Nazis were inspired by Jim Crow. That's from history.com. Okay. Now, there was another article here from, and I'm not going to be able to get to all this. There was one from face-to-faceafrica.com. Face-to-faceafrica.com. I'm going to give you the name of it. Go read it. We posted it already. This is called The Little Known History of Forced Sterilization. The Little Known History of Forced Sterilization of Black Children in Nazi Germany. The Little Known History of Forced Sterilization of Black Children in Nazi Germany. This is from face-to-faceafrica.com, written by Mildred Europa Taylor. And this is from September 9th, 2018, I think it was. September 9th, 2018. Let's pull this one up here. You can check out this article as well, because this is history that gets left out. This is history that gets left out of the conversation. That's why I'm taking the time to go over this, because when we deal with the Holocaust, this history just totally gets left out. All right, so read this article also, The Little Known History of Forced Sterilization of Black Children in Nazi Germany, from face-to-faceafrica.com. Okay, now, the main one I wanted to go to is from the BBC, Being Black in Nazi Germany. This is from bbc.com. Being Black in Nazi Germany. And it talks about, it goes more in depth and deals with some more of this history and some more of the African people who were victims in Nazi Germany or survived. And let me pull this up here. So, very quickly here. There was something that I wanted to go to. So they talk about different caricatures of mixed race children that were the result of various interracial relationships. Let's see. They had stories of racist caricatures of sexually predatory African soldiers who were circulated at the time, fueling concern. They're using caricatures. They're using imagery to cause a fear among Europeans about African men, men of African descent. Okay. All right. So read this. It's a pretty extensive article here. This is from bbc.com. And this is from May 21st, 2019. This is Being Black in Nazi Germany. Let me pull this up here. This is Being Black in Nazi Germany. And we see the same picture. They photos. This photo was used in genetics lectures at Germany's State Academy for Race and Health. And you see a child of African descent. Okay. One of the things they talk about here is in the Nazi era from 1933 to 1945, African Germans numbered in the thousands. There was no uniform experience, but over time, they were banned from having relationships with white people. The Afro-Germans over time were banned from having relationships with white people, excluded from education and types of excluded from education and types of employment. And some were sterilized while others were taken to concentration camps. Okay, so read the rest of this, okay? All right, now, I want to, let's see, where are we on time? All right. We talked about Cicely Tyson Thursday. So be sure to watch the Thursday show. I want to go to this clip here. We're going to go to the clip from CBS News. Jalen, just a second here. So January 26th, I think it was, Cicely Tyson, this was probably, if it wasn't her last interview, it was one of her last interviews. She was interviewed by Gayle King on CBS This Morning, and they talked about her memoir, Just As I Am, that had just come out. This is from January 26, 2021. Hollywood legend Cicely Tyson recounts life, career, and new memoir. Let's go to this clip, Jay.
Well, my story is about award-winning actress Cicely Tyson, who has starred in countless films, TV shows, and Broadway plays. They include Roots, remember that? Trip to Bountiful, I saw that. The autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, I watched it again over the weekend. And now in a new memoir, out today, it's called, look at this cover, guys, Just As I Am. I love this picture of her. The 96-year-old Tyson is opening up about her very impressive career and her personal life. So we met her in Harlem at the Abyssinian Baptist Church. That was her home church before the pandemic. And she talks to us about her legendary career, her love life, it's a doozy, and her process behind choosing roles.
Whenever I'm offered a script, what I'm interested in when I get it is why me. Who was that character and why did they want me to play it? And when I get to the point where I feel like her skin has fitted my arm or my mind, then I know there's something about her.
As a little girl, what were your dreams?
I was a very shy child. If you got 15 minutes of words out of me, you got plenty. I was a thinker. I sucked this finger until I was 12 years old. That's why I have these buck teeth.
Born in 1924 to West Indian parents, Cicely Tyson recounts her extraordinary life in her new memoir, Just As I Am.
I am an observer of human nature and the dreamer of audacious dreams.
The journey to stardom was not an easy one for Tyson, who became pregnant when she was 17 and had a short marriage that lasted just over 2 years. Tyson began her acting career as a single mother, a choice that brought conflict at home. Weren't you surprised, Cicely, that your mother actually kicked you out of the house because you wanted to be an actress?
Oh, she told me I couldn't live there and do that. Suddenly I found something that I loved to do, and I had a child to support.
So you weren't thinking, when I grow up, I want to be an actress?
No. My mother, I don't know what she wanted me to be. She thought that I was going to live in the den of iniquity, because we grew up in the slums, okay? Lots of prostitutes walking up and down the street. And that's all she knew about movies.
Her mother eventually came around, and their connection is a strong one to this day, especially in this church.
And I feel that her spirit is here. And so I bought this pew in her name.
So this was a way to honor her.
That's right.
Tyson made her on-screen debut at 31 in the 1956 film Carib Gold. Shortly after that, she enrolled in an acting school run by Paul Mann, a well-known acting coach. She found herself alone with him after her first class, and she writes about a traumatic encounter.
He said, "Excuse me, Miss Tyson, I'd like to talk to you." So I turned around and came back, and before I knew it, he pulled me down.
And he was touching you and groping?
Yes. No, what he wanted me to do was something worse than that. I thought about the whole incident when I got home. And, I never shed a tear about that until this moment.
All these years later, it still affects you that way.
The whole thought that you could go out innocently to achieve something, and it turns out to be something so vulgar and coarse and demeaning to you as a young black woman. But I made up my mind then that I went there for a reason, and that reason had not changed.
It sounds like a Me Too incident before we were even calling it Me Too. And some people would say, but why did you go back? And to that you say,
I went back to get what I was told I needed in order to achieve what I wanted. And I think of the many young black women who go through that and are devastated by it, and it kills their dream. I was not going to let that happen to me.
Through her sheer determination, her talent blossomed and landed Tyson the headlining role of Rebecca in Sounder.
You got your last job, Mr. Sheriff.
A 1972 film about a black sharecropper family. And a conversation with a white journalist about the movie pushed Tyson to find new purpose in her calling. And so you're promoting Sounder. Now, a reporter said to you
that he felt a bit of bigotry in himself while he was watching the movie. When I asked him why so, he said, I was uncomfortable about your older son referring to his father as Daddy. I said, do you have children? What do they call you? He said, they call me Daddy. And I thought, my God, this man is thinking that we're not human beings. And I made up my mind that I could not afford the luxury of just being an actress, and that I would use my career as my platform.
Namely, you want black people to be seen as human beings.
That's right.
After playing over 100 roles on the stage and screen, Tyson has won 3 Emmys, a Tony, and an Oscar.
This is the culmination of all those years of half and half-time.
But beyond her public success, her memoir documents her love story with jazz icon Miles Davis. They were married for 7 years, but their romance spanned decades. Friends always wondered, why in the world are you with Miles Davis? Because you're right. He was unfaithful. Mm-hmm. He was abusive. Mm-hmm. You said Miles needed to be saved. Mm-hmm. From himself, and you needed someone to save.
Well, listen, people who hurt, it's always the person that is closest to them that they hurt. Mm-hmm. And I was in love with him. Yeah. He was a beautiful human being.
But you know what? On his deathbed, he wanted you to know that he was
sorry. Tell Cicely, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Was he the love of your life?
Yes.
But did you think you could never find love like that again?
I haven't.
You haven't. Have you been looking?
No.
I'll ask you this. What does it feel like to be 96 and a legend, Miss Legend?
I'm amazed every single day I live.
Do you feel like you have more to do?
Yes, that's why I'm still here. I mean, what my life became is not what I expected. I had no idea that I would touch anybody.
When the time comes, what do you want us to remember about you?
I've done my best.
Wow. Jill, I just adore her. She really is royalty to me. And it was so, I could have talked to her all afternoon. When we talked about Miles, I love this. She said, hostility and devotion can live side by side. I love that. Sometimes love is not always born of logic. And when I said, what do you really need? What do people need? She said, well, I will talk as a black woman. You need cayenne pepper, a stash of cash, and a quiet place.
Yeah.
She's happy to say that she has All three. All three.
In my eyes, she's always had incredible dignity
Yes.
and resilience, and you've always felt it whenever she spoke.
Yes, and she said I grew up, people calling me nappy-headed and shy and withdrawn. But now, you see her, she's very beautiful, she's regal. She said early on in her career, they told her that she should get bracelets for the teeth she says are bucked, and she said, no, I like how I look.
Yeah.
She has such a deliberate and powerful way of speaking. Each word is just set down like a sidewalk, and you come to the end, and it's gorgeous. There's so many ways to take inspiration from her life, but I'm surprised that she was shy.
Yeah.
She found acting as a way to speak through others. It's a gorgeous idea.
Yeah, she will say, I'm still kind of shy. I go, no, you're not. She goes, no, actually I am. I spend a lot of time by myself. She has a small circle of friends. Tyler Perry's a very good friend of hers. I meant to say to Tyler, Tyler's in the book, she calls Tyler one of her jewels. Yeah. So she has a small group of friends that she keeps very close.
Yeah.
Oh, and I said, do you want other roles? She goes, yes. If somebody approaches me about a role, yes. It's better than sitting at home making butt prints. I love that. We've all done that.
Okay, so that was from CBS This Morning, January 26th, 2021. Gayle King interviewing Cicely Tyson about Cicely Tyson's memoir, Just As I Am, and about her life. And then she passed away 2 days later, January 28th, 2021. Now, in this article, so we did the whole 2 hours. Go back and listen to our January 28th show. Because I did the whole show. The show was 1 hour. We went an hour over. That's what happened. We stopped on 9:10, but I didn't. I just kept going. But I talked about the article from NBC News. I'm not NBC News. New York Times. I want to show you this here because this is very important. Name of this article, Cicely Tyson, an actress who shattered stereotypes, dies at 96. We'll go to the phone lines in just a second. I think we have Mark on the line. Stand by. We'll come to you in just a minute. Let's look at this here. It says, in a remarkable career of 7 decades, Ms. Tyson broke ground for serious Black actors by refusing to take parts that demeaned Black people. Okay, so this ties into her having this conversation with this white gentleman and coming to the conclusion that he did not see African Americans as humans, as human beings, and understanding that the roles that you take and the images that you project, they are not only projected in this country and influence the way people think, feel, act, and behave towards you and regarding you. Your thoughts create feelings, your feelings create actions and behaviors, your actions and behaviors create results. But these images are also projected around the world, and they impact the way people think, feel, act, and behave. Okay? Power is the ability to define and shape reality and have other people accept your definition of reality as if it were their own. So in a remarkable career of 7 decades, Ms. Tyson broke ground for serious Black actors by refusing to take parts that demeaned Black people. She urged Black colleagues to do the same and often went without work. She was critical of films and television programs that cast Black characters as criminal, servile, or immoral. As criminal, servile, or immoral. Okay? And insisted African Americans, even if poor or downtrodden, should be portrayed with dignity. Okay? She insisted that African Americans, even if poor or downtrodden, should be portrayed with dignity. Okay, so this is a lesson here, and there was a segment here. the article where she said something like she would rather starve than portray negative stereotypical images. Okay, I mean, you keep in mind she won 3 Emmy Awards, 1 Tony. She never won an Oscar, but she got an honorary Oscar in 2018, the Governor's Award, 2018. She eventually appeared in 29 films and at least 68 television series. 29 films, at least 68 television series, and television series, miniseries, and single episodes, and 15 productions of on and off Broadway. And there was let me see, I'm trying to see if I can find that other portion. Okay. So read this article here from, it's on the last page. This is an 8-page article from the New York Times. I want to show this because on our Thursday show, I asked this question. In researching Cicely Tyson, and I remember her playing Coretta Scott King in the 1978 made for TV movie King with Paul Winfield as Dr. King. I remember her in one of the roles I forgot was the Women of Brewster's Place. The Women of Brewster's Place. Okay, she was in that also. I remember her in Sounder, 1972. I didn't see it in 72. I wasn't born I was born in 71. I saw it later, but I remember her in Sounder. I remember her in Roots. She was Kunta Kinte's mother in Roots, 1977. Okay, now let's look at this here. This is on the last page of the article. But she was adamant about dramatic roles. She was adamant about dramatic roles. We Black actresses have played so many prostitutes and drug addicts and housemaids, always negative, she told Parade magazine in 1972. We Black actresses have played so many prostitutes and drug addicts and housemaids, always negative. I won't play that kind of characterless role anymore, even if I have to go back to starving. I won't play that kind of characterless role anymore, even if I have to go back to starving. Okay? That's character right there. That's integrity. And I asked the question on our Thursday show. I said, I would love to see a conversation between Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B and Miss Cicely Tyson. And you can throw Sukiyana in there because Sukiyana has a CD out called Wolf Punani. Just Google it. She don't use the word Punani. She uses another word for vagina. But anyway, I want Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B to explain to Cicely Tyson why they made WAP. I just want to hear that conversation. Now, Cicely Tyson was willing to starve and not take roles that demean African Americans. I want them to explain to her at 96 years old why y'all made WAP with a Punani. I'd love to see that conversation. You know. All right, quickly, let's go to Mark. Hey, Mark, thanks for holding. Sorry, we only got a couple minutes left, but I want to get you in. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Yes. That was a fabulous interview with the fabulous Cicely Tyson. That was great. You did a good job with that. I missed it last Thursday, but I got it tonight from you. Thank you. For that.
Okay.
Also, I want to get the three branches of government. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know I'm not the only one don't know, and it's a shame, and a lot of people don't know.
Okay.
One is the legislation, executive, and the judicial.
Judicial. Yeah, executive, right? Judicial, and legislative. Yes.
And executive. Those are three, right?
Yeah.
Executive, judicial, and legislation.
Legislative, yeah. Legislative branch of government. Yeah, that's the House of Representatives and the Senate. Go ahead. What'd you say?
And that's why voting matters so much.
Yes, it does.
I said, one night I want you to give everybody, the reason why some of the situations we're in, voting matters for these senates and stuff like that.
Well, I do that each night. I'm on 6 nights a week. Oh, yeah. You listen to the show Monday through Friday. We're on 11 p.m. to 12 midnight. If you miss any of the shows, go to our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, or my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. And the shows are there also because we're broadcasting on those platforms live right now. So you can go back and watch the shows.
Excellent.
Okay. Okay, man. All right. Okay.
Excellent. Keep up the good work.
Okay. Thanks. And then also remember, we have our audio podcast on iHeartRadio. Download the iHeartRadio app. Search for the African History Network show. They have about 300 of our podcasts there. Also, you can listen to 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF live on iHeartRadio. Search for 910 Superstation WFDF. Hey, if you'd like this type of information, also, we're here 6 days a week. You can support the African History Network. $, the AHN show through Cash App. $, the AHN show through Cash App. Then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. PayPal.me/the AHN show. Then also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click on the yellow donate button. My online course is going to start Wednesday, February 3rd. It's going to be 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Email me at ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com for more information. ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com for more information. We're out of time here. We're going to keep broadcasting a little bit longer on our social media platforms. So keep watching. Remember, right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Stay tuned for Pastor Mo. Peace. All right. Okay, I just want to squeeze this other segment in here. Dealing with African American History Month. Okay. How's everybody doing? We're going to keep going just a few more minutes, and I got to get out of here. I have a lot of work to do. Let's see here. Okay. This year's theme for African American History Month is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. The Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. Okay. Let me post this here. 2021 theme for history. Okay. So there's an annual theme each year. The annual theme is extremely, extremely important. Now, there may be other things that you talk about. There may be other things that you have incorporated into the program. But as much as I love history and love teaching history, I got to tell you that the some of these African American History Month celebrations, I'm leery about going to, because they're recycling the same 15 to 20 sanitized Negroes every year. And I know the people mean well and have good hearts, and God knows their heart, and Jesus loves them and everything. I understand that, right? And I know they mean well. Okay, but let me give you an example. So I remember, which year was that? It wasn't 2020, because 2020 I only spoke in February. I only spoke in Chicago. 2019, I spoke a number of different places for month of February. I spoke at a number of different churches, things like that. And everywhere I speak, I ask people, tell me what the annual theme is. What's the annual theme this year for African American History Month? Nobody knows. I spoke at a number of different places. Nobody knew. The few people who did know, they heard me talk about it early in the month. That's how they knew about it. Okay. So the annual theme helps give direction. It helps give purpose, as opposed to just talking about runaway slaves and Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and people that invented things that made white folks' lives easier and stuff like that. Okay. All that's important, but when you study Dr. Carter G. Woodson, I'm gonna make this really short. Okay, because I've done a whole presentation on Dr. Woodson. Dr. Woodson created Negro History Week because he understood that our people didn't understand their history. Our children didn't understand their history. Our people did not understand their history. So he created this monthly cultural celebration. And the celebration had a focus on children. And it was designed for children to really show what they have been studying year round. Because he said it did not make sense to just teach our history 1 week out of the school year. We needed to teach our history to our children year round. And that second week in February, Negro History Week, was a period of time for the children to really show what they had been studying year round. And you're going to have all types of celebrations in the community, things like this, right? Okay, so I'm just trying to make a long story short here. I was born in 1971. Okay, I'll be 50 June 7th. Okay. June 7th, 2021. So if we look at the annual theme this year, it is the Black family. So the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. The Black family has been a topic of study in many disciplines: history, literature, the visual arts, and film studies, sociology, anthropology, and social policy. Its representation, identity, and diversity have been revered, have been reverenced, stereotyped, and vilified from the days of slavery to our own time. From the days of slavery to our own time. The Black family knows no single location, since family reunions and genetic ancestry searches testify to the spread of family members across states, nations, and continents. Not only are individual Black families diasporic, but Africa and the diaspora itself have been long portrayed as the Black family at large. While the role of the Black family has been described by some as a microcosm of the entire race, its complexity as the foundation of African American life and history can be seen in numerous debates over how to represent its meaning, and typically from a historical perspective, as slave or free, as patriarchal or matriarchal, or matrifocal, as single-headed or dual-headed household. And let me turn this on. Let's see here. Just a second here. All right. Okay, so here's a poster here dealing with the Black family, representation, identity, diversity from Masala. Okay, foundation. Its complexity as the foundation of African American life and history can be seen in numerous debates over how to represent its meaning and typicality from a historical perspective, as slave or free, as patriarchal or matriarchal, matrifocal, as single-headed or dual-headed household, as extended or nuclear, as fictive kin. Okay, like you have all these cousins, but you're not related by blood, or aunts and uncles that are not blood related, but they're still like your aunts and uncles, as fictive kin or blood lineage, as legal or common law, as black or interracial, etc. Variation appears as well in discussions on the nature and impact of parenting, childhood, marriage, gender norms, sexuality, and incarceration. The family offers a rich tapestry of images for exploring the African American past and present. Okay. So that is the 2021 annual theme for African American History Month. And from that, you can draw a lot out of that. There are other things you can talk about as well, but you can draw a lot out of that to form a foundation for the presentations and celebrations. So when I teach about African American History Month, that's part of it. The annual theme is part of it. Okay. All right. So, all right. So check that out. Remember, we're on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. Then Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All my DVD lectures are there, digital downloads, etc. We have the bundle pack, The Africans Who Were Here Before Columbus. The Africans Who Were Here Before Columbus is an 8 DVD bundle pack. Includes double lecture I've done with Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, as well as double lecture I did with Professor Kabahaya Kamene, who's in the Hidden Colors documentaries. We dealt with ancient Africa, ancient African presence in the Americas. There's also one from Dr. John Henrik Clark dealing with Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, and one from Dr. Ivan Van Sertima dealing with They Came Before Columbus. Then we have the my bundle pack, Black Migration 1619 to 2019. Black Migration 1619 to 2019. And we have that in digital download format and DVD also. That's a 6 DVD bundle pack, and it includes the 2019 annual theme for African American History Month. There's also a presentation that I did dealing with 6 principles of political self-defense. 6 principles of political self-defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. So it's a 6 DVD bundle pack. Check that out. We're going to post a link here. We have that on DVD and digital download, Black Migration 1619 to 2019. And it deals with that 400th year anniversary and that history of those first Africans coming into Jamestown, Virginia. Now, African people had been here for tens of thousands of years before that. That's why the first Americans were Africans. Documented evidence from Dr. David Imhotep is so important, because he deals with that information in here. But we also deal with 1619 and 1526, when the Spanish were taking Africans into the territory we call South Carolina and Georgia, that general area as well. Okay, look, hey, we have to get out of here. The online course starting up February 3rd, Wednesday, February 3rd, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it's over 8 weeks, 16-hour online course. Email me AHNShow at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNShow at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com for more information. Also, we'll post a link here. This is for the previous class I taught. You register for this. I'm just going to automatically register you for the new one. So the class is regularly $130, on sale $80. And we do the class live, and all the sessions are archived, so you can go back and watch them over and over again. Okay. So it's Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And you can watch from around the world. All right, so we definitely appreciate the support, and you can donate to the African History Network as well. Like I said, it definitely helps out, because, I mean, being that we're here 6 nights a week. Let me post this here, online course. Let me just post all this information here. It definitely helps us stay on the air, keep broadcasting, and try to cover the expense, pay for these different services. Like right now, I'm not broadcasting through Facebook. I'm broadcasting through Restream, and it's going to Facebook and YouTube. And I have like one of the most expensive packages that allow me to do a lot of this stuff here. So I'm still learning some of the capabilities of Restream. And things were better because I had to, early January, I had to buy a new laptop because my other laptop is dying on me. So that's why the camera looks sharper and it's not freezing up as much, things like that. But yeah, starting Wednesday, February 3rd, the online course. Okay. All right. Hey, we had to get out of here because I got to be back tomorrow night. Okay, Matthew, Ruby, how y'all doing? Datu 310. Let's see who else we have here. Let's see, Lala. Yeah, Lala Smith, June. Okay, yeah, follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. Turn on live notifications so you know when we go live. Because a lot of people subscribe, but they don't get a notification when we go live. Okay. All right. So remember, right now is correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Comedicwear.com is the go-to online source for comedic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Comedicwear.com is inspired by ComedicScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at ComedicWear.com.
With BlackBusinessT.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business. Know your numbers and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business, encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. BlackBusinessT.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com.
Black Bees products are a collection of natural, organic, personal care products with an appreciation of nature and bees. Our philosophy is without bees, we have nothing. We are honoring our Nile Valley ancestors who understood the importance of bees. Black Bees created a high-quality, natural, organic personal care line that would be affordable to everyone. We hope you try and enjoy our Black Bees product line and come back and visit us at blackbeesproducts.com.
Gain knowledge in minutes with Blacklist Ed. Blacklist Ed is an app that provides insightful summaries of books pertaining to the black experience. As black people, we know the importance of reading books to discover our incredible contributions to world history, to uplift our self-esteem, and to empower ourselves for our relentless fight for social justice. Unfortunately, with our busy lives, it feels like there is never enough time to read a book. Fortunately, there's a solution. With Blacklist Ed, their app provides key insights from best-selling books about the black experience, therefore saving you time, increasing your knowledge, and empowering yourself through inspirational and actionable ideas. You can read or listen on the go. Start your free trial today by going to blacklisted.com. That's Black without the C, B-L-A-K. Or you can download the Blacklist Ed app from the App Store or Google Play. Blacklist Ed, empower yourself. Have you tasted the world-famous No Frowny Brownie yet from the Pink Bakery? If not, what are you waiting for? They are vegan, gluten-free, and of the big 8 allergens. While eating their No Frowny brownies, the fabulous Miss Tabitha Brown said they were very good. Very good. And you know, if she says that, they are. The Pink Bakery is the first black-owned, big 8 allergen-free baking mix company. Go to thepinkbakery.com, that's thepinkbakery.com, to order their No Frowny Brownie Mix today. Yaya Rule is a line of African print-inspired apparel catered to the black community. The pieces include t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, jackets, dresses, skirts, activewear, bags, and other accessories and home decor. This brand offers a revived way for men and women to wear their black pride and honor their African heritage anywhere at any time. This apparel line is for anyone, whether you are working in the corporate world, are an entrepreneur,